There's no better animal on this planet than dogs. They are just so loyal and friendly and come in many cool forms, like you have Justice Doggo, Small Doggo, Skin Wave Doggo, Family Friendly Doggo, and Puggo Doggo. There are many doggos out there for people to enjoy. But what about dogs makes them so special? Is it something to do with their evolution? How about their senses? Their behavior? Are dogs good for people? What makes dogs so loyal and friendly? And why in the world am I comparing a dog to the best waifu in anime history? Well, you know who I am, and this is the second animal in Phantom Blood Month. For those who have seen or read Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency, you can skip this part. But if you haven't, I suggest you watch this part, as it will help you understand any analogies that I mention later. Robert E.O. Speedwagon, a play on the band REO Speedwagon, was born on October 16, 1863, at what is the JJBA equivalent of Detroit, Ogre Street. Such a childhood would mold Speedwagon, as he would have to steal and fight his way to survive. During this time, he obtained the ability to smell if someone is good or bad. He would eventually meet Jonathan Joestar while he was on his quest to cure his dad, when he and his two friends attacked him. But during the fight, Speedwagon grew to realize that Jonathan was a true gentleman, and before everyone in the hood was able to attack him, Speedwagon told them to stand down, thus saving Jonathan. Then Speedwagon stuck by JoJo, even following him back to his mansion, exposing Dio for the bad person he is. He then got to witness Dio become a vampire, thus beginning Speedwagon's habit of narrating everything JoJo does. Despite not being able to learn Hamon because he had nothing to really fight for, Robert E.O. Speedwagon was there for his friends anyway, putting his life on the line to make sure the job was done till the very end, and was cheering for JoJo once he beat Dio. However, the last time he would see Jonathan was when he left on his honeymoon with Erina, and learned the news of the ship later on. Later in his life, Speedwagon struck gold, and by gold I mean oil, and was able to start his own organization called the Speedwagon Foundation, making him kinda like the Elon Musk of JJBA. During this time, he would take care of a very special person, the best JoJo of the series, Joseph Joestar. Nice! Thus begins Speedwagon's story and battle tendency, which starts with him being betrayed by Straits because he didn't want to get old. After injuring Speedwagon and killing everyone with Speedwagon, he threw his body into a river so that the Pillar Men wouldn't be awakened by his blood. Later, Speedwagon was found by Nazis looking to gain the power of the Pillar Men. He would then witness part of Joseph's fight with Santana. After Joseph beat Santana, Speedwagon had Joseph meet with Caesar. The two didn't get along and it made Speedwagon cringe. Fight with cars, doing what he does best, narrating everything that is happening. Like everyone else, he thought Joseph died fighting cars. Thinking that Joseph was dead after fighting, Speedwagon would attend his funeral, quote unquote, but was happy to learn that Joseph was still alive. Speedwagon would work to improve science and medicine with his foundation until he died at the age of 89 from a heart attack. He was a bachelor and left his foundation to the Joestars. Even in death, Speedwagon's work would be key in things like defeating Dio in Part 3. Speedwagon is one of the more pinnacle characters in the series, not only in parts 1 and 2, but every single part thanks to his legacy. Now that we have gotten Speedwagon out of the way, we can move on to the most fundamental part of an organism's existence. As usual, an animal's evolution is fundamental to understanding said animal, and pets are no exception, so let's get right into it. Dogs are members of the suborder Caeniformia, which evolved in the Eocene 42 million years ago, and includes animals like bears, skunks, red pandas, coatis, and raccoons. This group is classified based on traits like non-retractable claws, the tendency to be plantigrade, having longer jaws than the other suborder Feliformia, and having a tendency to lean towards omnivory. This leads toward the family Caenidae, which evolved in the late Eocene 39 million years ago, and this family includes wolves, jackals, dingoes, and of course, dogs. Dogs belong to the genus Canis, which are the dogs, wolves, and coyotes. This group first evolved 9 million years ago. The domesticated dog, Canis lupus familiaris, first evolved 14,000 years ago. Now the question is, where? After years of study, mitochondrial DNA came to save the day, pointing to Europe as the starting point for the domesticated dog, specifically Western Europe. Another interesting aspect of dog evolution is the coevolution it had with human beings. It has been shown that the genes of the dog are similar to humans in terms of digestion, neurological processes, and disease. Such convergent evolution gives us a clue on how close humans and dogs are. And out of this evolution would appear various dog breeds, which are unique in the animal kingdom. Not because there are dog breeds, but because dogs have the largest diversity of breeds or races out of any animal. The number of dog breeds counted depend on the organization. The American Kennel Club only recognizes 167, while the Federation Cyno-Gleek International recognizes 340 dog breeds. Dog breeds are a result of human usage. However, I will go over breeds later in this video. But for now, let us go over the dog's connection to the hairless ape. The words man's best friend is an understatement. As far as I see it, dogs are more to humans than just a best friend. It would be more appropriate to call dogs man's brother. Dogs are to humans like Speedwagon is to the Joestars, a fundamental part of their existence and survival. Dogs have been such a positive influence on humans that studies have shown that dogs can improve a human's mental health. Even being around a dog is said to improve the psychology of humans. Because of this, therapy dogs are used in order to help people with psychological problems like depression. The only other animal with such an effect on humans are cats. Despite this, most dogs around the world aren't pets, or at least not pets for only one person. Most dogs around the world are usually village or community dogs, meaning that they belong to a whole group of people and not just one person. Many domesticated dogs are also feral, but even feral dogs rely on humans for things like food. And even then, dogs belonging to a single person used to be a privilege. Originally, only the rich and/or the elite were able to own a dog. However, dogs would eventually reach the public years later, but they would stay more as an outside pet than an indoor pet. Then as time went on, the dog would become more of an indoor pet, thus establishing the way we see dogs today. However, dogs aren't popular with every group. In Islam, dogs are seen as unclean. That has to do with them being scavengers, as they say. Many Muslims won't keep dogs or even want dogs to be around them. Also, dogs are used as food in countries like South Korea, China, and certain countries in Africa. However, times are changing and slowly but surely dogs are being used less as food because they're being protested against, even in the countries they're eaten. So in the future, dogs might not be on the menu anymore. Dogs also have appeared in things like TV shows, video games, books, and movies. Dogs have also made up some parts of mythology, like Cerberus. But the dog's claim to fame wasn't their convenience for TV shows, food, or even companionship, despite that being very important in the dog's survival. Its claim to fame was the canine's ability to work. Such uniqueness in work is to the dog's survival, like Speedwagon finding oil is to building up the Speedwagon foundation. This is where dog breeds come in. Some dogs were made for protection, while others were made for farm work. Hunting is the most popular usage for dogs for a long time. Dogs like poodles, dachshunds, and small terriers were used for hunting. These jobs will transform the dog, but let's go over the most important thing, the parts that made the dogs worth keeping, the anatomy and behavior. But let's start with anatomy. Evolution has given dogs the tools they need in order to become something worth keeping. The dog's sense of smell is the most popular aspect of the dog's anatomy, and the one people are most familiar with. This is something it shares in common with Robert E.O. Speedwagon, because as I mentioned earlier, Speedwagon was able to smell if someone was good or bad. Now while dogs aren't able to smell someone's personality, they are able to smell more important things. Dogs are used to find people, drugs, and even dangerous devices. But the question is, how? Well, one part of it is the dog's brain. The dog's brain is dominated by its olfactory cortex, the part of the brain most responsible for smell. This goes hand in hand with the dog's nose, which is an evolutionary powerhouse. Dogs have around 125 to 300 million smell receptors. The nose is also built to improve smell. One part of the nose people neglect to mention when it comes to the dog's sense of smell is the wetness of the nose. This wet nose actually helps collect smells through air currents, helping dogs smell things being blown away. Dogs also don't need to take full breaths while smelling, allowing them to smell in quick and rapid bursts. The nose also doesn't remove particles while smelling, allowing the smell to become even more powerful as it breathes it in. The dog's second most powerful sense is its hearing. Dogs are able to hear at 16 to 40 Hz. Pointed out, dogs with pointy ears hear better than dogs with floppy ears. On the flip side, the dog's eyesight, while good, isn't the best sense. Dogs can't see colors like green and red, but are fine at seeing yellows, blues, and grays. Dogs also have better eyesight for things closer than further, as things that aren't moving and are far away are harder for dogs to see. A dog's sense of touch isn't really something to marvel at. Their whiskers can detect things like earthquakes though, that is interesting. As for taste, dogs enjoy things that are sweet because of the evolution of their diet and hate things that are bitter. Dogs also love the taste of water. The reason why they love water is an evolved mechanism to make sure they have enough liquids in their body. A weird part of the dog's anatomy are their non-digigrade feet, which are an abnormality in the suborder Caeniformia. Another weird part of the dog is its dew claw, and there is debate on whether this vestigial organ has a use or not. Some dog breeds are said to use it in order to increase speed. Others say the claw helps the dog hold things down with its paws. However, in some dogs, the dew claw is nothing more than a flap of skin. One last thing to go over real quick. The muscles and bones of a dog enable it not only to run fast, but to help the dog jump even higher in the air. The fastest dog breed today is the Greyhound, which can run up to 64 kilometers an hour. Now that we have gone over anatomy, it is time to go over the other aspect that helped build the Doggo wagon foundation: behavior. A dog's behavior is important for whether or not the animal is worth keeping. Think about it. Would you rather have a dog who was like Speedwagon on Ogre Street before he met Jonathan, or a dog like Speedwagon after he met Jonathan? I would personally keep post-Ogre Street Speedwagon myself. Dogs have evolved to be pack animals, much like us. Dogs tend to bond with humans and other dogs through things like play. This means that dogs will have a leader, like how one could consider Jonathan Joestar the leader of the group and Speedwagon as a follower. Now, dogs don't pick a leader based on size, but personality. As the saying goes, it isn't the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. A Boston Terrier that is aggressive will be more likely to lead a pack of dogs than an old lazy bull mastiff, despite the mastiff being the more dangerous animal. Another determining factor in the canine hierarchy is the age of a dog. A puppy that is around older dogs tends to see them as leaders, even as they get older. This is similar to how Joseph Joestar saw Speedwagon, as he thought of him as a father figure. Two adult dogs meeting, however, will begin to establish their dominance, though dogs don't usually physically fight for the top spot. Instead, they battle with psychology. This is interesting as dogs have been shown to demonstrate something known as the theory of mind. This means that not only do dogs have things like beliefs, intents, and knowledge, but can see them in others as well. Dogs have been sent to understand human emotions and human commands, for example. Some dogs have been shown to have the ability to remember 1,000 words and have the ability to associate items with certain things. One of the more important aspects of dog behavior that people must understand is how dogs communicate. Dogs communicate with their tail, vocals, their bodies, and with their face. For example, when a dog has its ears folded back, that means it is either scared or angry. If a dog has a snarling mouth, then it is more angry than scared. If the dog is growling, it is definitely angry. When a dog barks at night, it could be the dog asking for something like food, attention. It could be talking to another dog, alerting you to something. Or it could be on a bizarre adventure and is just narrating his friend's actions. I'll leave a source down below for more on dog communication. Think of it as your homework for tonight. But for now, let's move on to something important. Something that helps us mass produce these wonderful animals. Dogs are sexually mature around 6 to 12 months of age, though larger dogs may take 2 years. Females grow through an estrus cycle in which the animal is very receptive to copulation and will mate with multiple males. The mating leads to the funniest part of dog reproduction, when the dogs get their genitalia stuck together like the Speedwagon and Joestar bloodline. Despite this being funny, this has an evolutionary purpose, and that is to ensure the male sperm has actually entered the female. The female has a gestation period of 2 months, and the amount of puppies she gives birth to depends on the breed. Speaking of dog breeds, I'd like to remind you that mutts are healthier than purebreds. There's nothing wrong with getting a purebred, but you know, mixing genes is much better than keeping the same old genes over and over again. And I have a bunch of sources to back that up. Also, quick reminder, adopt if you're going to get a dog. Trust me, it works. I know puppies are cute, but adoption is so much more rewarding. In conclusion, it's easy to tell that dogs are such wonderful animals. Dogs are to humans like Speedwagon is to the Joestar bloodline. It's no surprise that such an animal had such a coevolution with the naked ape. Dogs are also really good pets, just remember that they aren't toys, so don't throw them away when you're bored with them. Well, I'm MetaZ, and remember, keep your things safe.